selling a moniker. Talk about specifically how you deal with adversity and deal with it in a healthy way. How are you, Mary?
Well, everybody, no matter who they are, whether you're Christian or not, are going to go through some hard times in your life. And being a Christian, God has helped me through a lot of things that I'm sure that people who aren't, they struggle a little bit harder. But I know from experience that sometimes we are so stubborn that God will allow us to hit rock bottom before we can finally realize that we're gonna to get out of there, we're gonna have to do something different than what we're done. You know that saying that say if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, that's a what that's called insanity.
Yes.
Well, that's very true. But sometimes people have to just hit rock bottom in their journey in this life before they are willing, and that's the main word here, before they're willing to accept help and direction toward a path of healing. And
Right.
that's not a good place to be, Neil. It's not a good place to be, but God is always there, even in our darkest moments. When we dig ourselves into a pit, we do it to ourselves. God doesn't put us there. We do it to ourselves through our bad choices, whatever it is that we do in life. But He doesn't want to leave us there. And He can use every situation in our life, even the bad choices, to turn us around, and He can use them for His purposes.
Hmm.
In the story of Joseph, his brothers were so jealous of him, and he was a little bit on the prideful side. I think he kind of rubbed it in that he was the favorite son. So they decided to get rid of him and they threw him in a pit. And he wound up being a slave in Egypt. And then he was put in prison. And then he got out of prison and became the second in command. But God had a plan for his life. But before he could put that plan into action, he had to get Joseph to a place where he could let go of some of the stuff that he had in his life. And God turned that around. And Joseph got to tell his brothers, what y'all intended for evil, God intended for good. And I do feel like that in my life that I've gone through some hard things, but because of those hard things and because of my faith and because God, it brought me closer to God by experiencing them, that I can use them to help other people, especially women who have gone through things. You don't have to stay in that pit. There's always a way out, but you
Yeah.
have to be willing to ask for it.
Yeah. And it's hard when you deal with those things. And how do you respond? Because a lot of times it's a learning experience when you
It
have
is.
that.
Yes.
And if you don't take it as that learning experience, people have a lot harder life when they take lots more chances, when they don't hide to try to away from things. That's the only way to keep yourself from not having so much adversity.
A lot of people hide what they're doing and they just keep on. Now, some people are so stuck in what they have created that they don't know any other way and they don't know how to get out of it. But God is the way and God will help you. And I don't know what I would have done in my life as a young mother and as a young woman that made so many mistakes if I hadn't have had a women friends, that Christian women friends that surrounded me and helped me overcome because they read into my life things that I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear to change the direction my life was going.
So let's talk about when adversity hits. How do you respond? That's the other thing. When adversity hits, some people respond terribly.
Mhm.
Other people respond with a learning experience, and some respond um, one way at first and then change. What's the
Yeah.
best way?
Well, I can say from my experiences, when something happens, the first thing I want to do, I want to start praying. I want to ask God into this mess that I've created and say, God, this is wrong. I need help. Show me the way, show me the scriptures, show me something that I can do to turn this around. And also, Neil, teach me, Lord, teach me what I need to learn because of what's going on in my life. What do I need to learn from this experience? And a
Right.
lot of people don't do that. They think, oh, poor me. It's just the way it is. It's just how life is. I'm just stuck. But that's not necessarily true. If you would open yourself up to learning and listening and seeking help in the right direction, not from alcohol or drugs or staying isolated, but getting out there and saying, hey, I have gone too far into the pit. Now I need help out.
Right. And you have to admit it that you're getting
Yes,
too
you have
far
to
from the
admit
pit.
it. Yeah. You have to admit you have a problem. Absolutely. And so many people don't. They just, this day and age, so many people think everything they do is just fine because it's their life, that they're not hurting anybody but themselves.
Which
But
is not the case.
that is not the case. You're hurting everyone around you, people who love you and see you destroying your life by the wrong choices that you're making. And they come up to you and try to talk to you, and you say, hey, just leave me alone. This is my life. I'll do it the way I want to do it. Well, you keep on doing that, and you're going to dig a hole deep enough. You're going to have somebody to dig you out because you're
It's
not
gonna-
going to be able to.
it's gonna be a huge hole.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
The Israelites had to circle that mountain for 40 years because they would not listen and they would not obey. And then finally, only two of that generation made it into the promised land. God is going to let his plan come to fruition. He will, but you may not be part of it if you keep on being stubborn, hard-headed, and you turn your back on God.
Right. When you do that, that's a big problem. I
Yep.
mean, it really is because you have no one when you turn your back.
Yeah. You
So, do you recommend taking a deep breath when you have a challenge, when something happens to you? What to do so you don't go in the wrong direction? Because it can spiral in so many ways.
well, taking a deep breath is a very good idea. And just stop what you're doing. The Holy Spirit, when you become a child of God and the Holy Spirit indwells within you, He's a gentleman. He's not going to whap you upside the head. He's going to gently say, okay, Mary, this isn't the right way to go. You need to stop what you're doing, take a deep breath, and go in the other direction. And with prayer and listening and calling a friend on a phone that you know that you can trust, that is the biggest thing. I tell my women that I mentor, whenever you feel that heaviness, of going in the wrong direction, pick up the phone and call me. Sometimes it's just sitting there and having a kind-hearted listening ear.
Right.
Because I cannot fix anybody's problems, but
No.
I can listen and I can love them through it and I can show them a better way. I can talk to them. And so whenever there's anything going wrong in your life, and you feel just overshadowed and overwhelmed, take a deep breath, go outside, look up and talk to the Lord, just like you and I are talking.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to fall down on your knees and cry out
Mm-hmm.
because God hears you. He hears the little teeny tiny voices in our hearts when we're so afraid. And all we
Yeah.
have to do is just go outside, take a deep breath, and say, God, please show me a different way. Show me how to get out of this mess.
Exactly. And then you hopefully will get out of that mess.
You hope they will. Yeah. But sometimes, Neil, it's not it's not me doing it. If somebody doesn't want to admit that they need help, I cannot blame myself for that. It's a choice that they have to make.
Right.
They have to be strong enough to say, I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
I want to change. I want to do something right. And it's baby steps. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not just going to boom one day and wake up the next day and be just great. It is a process. It's like grief. There's a process with it. You have to let go. And it's kind of sometimes like a roller coaster. One
Yeah.
day it's good, the next day it's not so good. But you get stronger and stronger and stronger with the Lord when you keep on walking because He's walking with you every step of the way. He's not going to let go of you. You may let go of him, step off the path, but he's not going to let go of you.
What are some of the bad ways to respond when you have adversity?
Bad ways to respond? Well, for example, people saying, it's my life. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you know, everything is going to heck in a handbasket. So why don't I just go out and get drunk? Or why don't I
Hmm.
just go out and start using drugs again? Just going
Hmm.
absolutely the opposite because you're so overwhelmed with everything that you make the wrong choice. You say, this will fix it. I'll just get drunk. I don't care. I'll get a divorce. I'll whatever. You just want to get away from the problem and do something absolutely the opposite. And so many people choose to do that, by saying it is my life. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it with whoever I want to do it with. And if it means getting drunk and being stupid, well, so be it. Not hurting anybody but myself.
What do you think of journaling when you're going through adversity?
Oh, I love journaling because that is one thing. The first thing I give to any woman I am mentoring is a journal because what you have up here in your head or here in your heart, if you can get it out on paper and read it a year from now and say, this is where I was, now this is where I am. That is the best thing in the world to do is to journal, is to just get it on. And nobody has to see it but but you can get all of that out. And even if you're angry, I
Yeah.
had a dear friend of mine tell me one time she journaled by talking to God. She said, Dear Abba, which is daddy in Hebrew for father,
Hmm.
Dear Abba. And she would talk to him in her journal. She would cry out to him in her journal. She'd give everything, every wrong thought, everything, put it down and talk to him like that. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to get into is journaling.
Interesting. And the journaling, in a lot of ways, you'll be able to look back and say, "What you that was a great point you made. This is where I'm at now in my life. Even though I had a bad week, let's kind of compare where I was 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And then if you're not in a good place from 2 years ago, why am I in this place? Have I forgotten some of the practices that I do? Am I not working as hard? Am I not have the faith that I had 2 years ago? That's where I think journaling is important. And but again, it's finding the time. It's just like finding the time for prayer, finding the time for everything. You got to really schedule your life and see where's best. And sometimes that silent time is a powerful time to get you refocused and re-energized for the day.
Well, every morning, my husband and I have a little Bible devotional time. It's about 30 minutes. And we have gotten into such the habit of it that we don't even want to start our day without it.
Oh, that's great.
But it's a good habit to have time with God every single day. And I don't care how busy you are, get yourself up early enough in the morning to spend a quiet time with God. Have your cup of coffee on the front porch, listen to the quietness around you, and just have some quiet time with God and open your heart to Him.
Okay. Let's go to maryshearereckert.com and purchase your book today. Best-selling book. You got to feel great. People got to go pick it up.
All right. Well, thank you, Neil. My first book signing is tomorrow in Mason at the library at 2 o'clock.
Oh, good luck. All right. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show.